Hi guys, I'm Greg Howlett, and this Sunday afternoon here in Georgia, and I want to give you another quick tip that'll help your music. I want to talk about tags today. Now, a tag is sort of slang for an alternative fancy ending that we use in songs. Instead of just ending the song, a lot of times we go back and repeat the last phrase. Repeating the last phrase is just called a tag. Vocalists especially like to do it. Now, we can do it a couple ways. We can just end the song and then go back and play the last line and sort of just do it, and it works. But what we do instead is we do it a little more elegantly by using a deceptive cadence. A deceptive cadence is essentially when you come to the end of the song and everybody expects to hear the one chord, because almost every song ends on a one chord. I can't really say that in 2017, but traditionally songs sort of end on a one chord. But instead of ending on that one, we throw another chord there instead. There's a lot of possibilities, and I want to talk about my favorite today. But before I talk about my favorite, I want to give you the go-to, the one that everybody uses, and that is minor 6. Most of you know that. So when you come to that point in the song, instead of playing a one chord, okay, everybody hears one here, but I'm going to throw a little surprise. This is minor 6. And then you can play the last phrase again. I will tell you this, sometimes the minor 6 doesn't work so well. It depends on where you go back to in the song. It is especially good if you go back to a place in the song where there's a 2 chord coming up. In other words, that phrase that you want to repeat starts on a 2 chord or a 5 chord. If it's a 5 chord, change it to a 2-5. I've talked about that before. But 6 chord likes to move to 2. It'll be really smooth. This is sort of a iffy place, to be honest, to use a 6 chord deceptive cadence, but it works. Sometimes you have another chord after the 2 chord like this. Like that. I messed up the first time. The second time I got it right. I'm using a secondary dominant after the 2 chord. Don't worry about that right now. That's a 5 of 5. But really, I want to talk about my favorite deceptive cadence today. And here it is. It's actually 2 chords, so it's a progression. It is a 3 half diminished moving to a 5 of 2. So 3 half diminished, which is a minor 7th with a flat 5, moving to a dominant 6 chord. It looks like a dominant 6 chord. So in the key of F, here's your 3 half diminished. It's an A. It's an A chord, but it has a C and an E flat, which is your flat 5, and a G in it. That's half diminished. And then we're going to move to D7. D is your 6th chord, and D7 has a D, an F sharp, and an A and a C in it. The A is optional. I'm also throwing an E flat in that chord, but that's for color only, and I'll talk about that here in a second. So here's your progression. Now, you may have heard that right then and said, oh, I've heard you do that before. I use this progression probably a little too much. I love it so much, but it's very distinctive, and you can overuse these things. So be careful with that as you play with this, but it's a beautiful sound. Here's how it sounds. Okay, so let me do it again slower. I'll do it with and call out the chords this time. A, half diminished, D7, and then I move to the 2 chord, which is your G minor. And so on. You can end it any way you want. Now, let me just mention that E flat that I'm adding to that D7 chord. The E flat is also the special note in the A minor 7 chord in front of it, or the A half diminished chord. You say, Greg, why do you play half diminished instead of a minor 7th? Or excuse me, why did you play half diminished instead of a minor 7th? Why are you adding an E flat to the D chord? Well, really, that E flat, which is the flat 5 in the half diminished chord, it's the flat 9 in the D7 chord. And that really, really sounds good when you're working with a secondary dominant combination moving to a minor chord. Remember, the D7 is a 5 of 2, and then the A half diminished is really a 2 in front of the 5, moving to the 2. I know this is a little bit tricky. This is sort of bonus material for those of you that are interested. That's a really, really nice sound. If you're moving to a chord, if your target chord after a secondary dominant combination is a minor chord, the flat 9 really sounds good on it. And that's why I do it. Really nice. Don't have to, but it really sounds good. Anyway, if you missed that last part, don't worry too much about it. Just remember, play a minor 3 or a 3 half diminished, moving to a 6/7 or a 5 of 2, same chord. The 5 of 2 looks like a dominant 6 chord, and you'll have your progression. Hope you enjoy it. I'll see you next time.